Hello?
Oh, yes, we're about ready to get kicked off here. I just have one question. I see somebody who is called in on a phone line ending with the number 44. Can whoever that is identify who that is, just so that we have it for attendance? Thank you.
Sure. My name is Ren Lutz, and I'm a Wilmette resident.
Okay, thank you. If you don't mind, I might just ask if you mute your phone in between, just so that we don't get any background noise. No problem.
How do I mute it?
Oh, that is a good question. Usually, I didn't know if you were calling in on a cell phone. If so, it's easy just to hit the mute button. I'm trying to recall if there's a way. Okay, looks like you got it. All right.
Yep. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It looks like it's a couple minutes after 1:30, so we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. My name is Rick Pullman, and I am the acting director of the Office of Water Resources. Transitioning from Lauren Wobig, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Lauren will remain on contract here with the State of Illinois Office of Water Resources and may even be joining here today as well. But with comes the chair, the Office of Water Resources does assume that role. So I'm happy to transition in. Thankfully, we have some consistency here in the Office of Water Resources in terms of the state water plan leadership. As many of you know, Wes Couture will be driving this bus for us again today, and we appreciate his leadership on the State Water Plan Task Force. So with that, for those who have joined in the past, and if this is your first time, we would certainly appreciate you identifying yourself and your affiliation in the chat for our record keeping. And it looks like, again, we have a pretty full agenda here today. First order of business, again, to move into the minutes approval, and then a topic that I'm sure will provide an opportunity for some significant dialogue in the bylaw adoption. So without further ado, let's jump in here, and I'll kick it to Wes for the meeting minute approval.
Yes, thanks, Rick. So as you should have received in your email, and I apologize with all the updates of bylaws and annual reporting and everything, I noticed I did not get out the minutes until today. So hopefully you should have a copy of those in your inbox. And if you're fortunate enough to take a look through them, we appreciate it. So given that it was short notice, we can go ahead and make a motion to approve. If you're not comfortable doing that, we could table that to the next meeting since it was short notice. But with that, I guess I'll open up the opportunity if anybody has any comments or questions on the meeting minutes. We can entertain those now. And if hearing none, we can have a member make a motion to approve if you would like.
I approve.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Who was that? And did you make a motion?
Yeah. Motion approved, Zach Aima.
Okay, thank you, Zach. Made a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second, Steve.
Yes, motion second, Steve. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not hearing any, we'll go ahead and call the meeting minutes approved. So with that, we'll move on to the bulk of our discussion. Likely today will be the bylaws adaptation. So You should have seen a number of versions coming into your email over the past month or so. A lot of appreciation to Brian Metzke, who spent a lot of time helping me iron out some of those details. We also had a number of other individuals that provided comments and feedback on that. So thank you all for those comments on the bylaws. So I will go ahead and send these up on the screen. You should see that now. Right now I have it shown as markup. So this shows everything that has changed since the last task force meeting. So you can see there's a number of just random markups, some cleanup, some addition, modifications. Again, the most recent version was sent to your inbox probably within the last 30 minutes so that you can have it. And oddly enough, I did see a small thing that we had discussed about changing that was actually last minute, and that was under the subgroup task force. So just so you know, this version will be slightly different from yours, is that we, let me see here. I accidentally hit the return button. I apologize. That we changed who appoints memberships of those task force from the task force membership to the designated topic leader. So that keeps us from having to, that keeps the task force from having to approve any changes to a sub task force. So if somebody leaves an organization, it wouldn't have to come back to the main task force to approve those changes within that sub task force. So hopefully you've had a chance to look through these over the past month or so. And like I said, there's been a few minor changes, but feel free to look over that copy that you have in your inbox. And I guess at this point, I'd just like to open it up for any thoughts, concerns. You know, if you are in agreement with how it's kind of worded, feel free to state that. If you have any thoughts on further modifications, I know we made a number of modifications based on our last task force meeting. So again, I'll just open up for discussion by the membership.
Hello there, Chris Davis here. I've got a couple of items, relatively small.
Sure, go ahead, Christy.
On the, oh shoot. I had my list together. Okay, so under the objective section,
Yes.
I think we can lose the word include just prior to the bullets, because the bullets, the tense or the phrases aren't lining up exactly. So I think you could just lose the word include.
That makes sense to me, unless anybody has any other concerns.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Okay, my next one, under the representation section,
Okay.
does it make any sense to require an amount of time needed to submit the request so that the chair can approve it instead of it being maybe during the call and the chair being put on the spot on whether or not they want to recognize someone? It could be 48 hours, it could be 24 hours, it could be 3 years. Probably not 3 years.
So I guess this is my interpretation of the bylaws. Right now, there's no timeline on how early, or I think the intent was to even do that within a meeting. To give that approval for a non-member to share expertise. So, I mean, it could be requested as early or up to the point when they have discussion. Let me turn off the markup just to make it a little simpler here to look at. as we are in, no, I gotta find it
It's
again.
on the second page, too close, yep.
Yep.
There you go.
So, Christy, is there specific wording that you'd like to change, or?
Not necessarily, it was more just to make sure that we were okay if somebody during the meeting came in and said, hey, I want the, the future, I don't even know whoever's to talk on this topic. Chair gets permission or something. I didn't know if there was any awkwardness or any formality to this where we didn't necessarily want it during the meeting, but we wanted people to get with the chair prior to the meeting to say, hey, we've invited so-and-so to speak, 24 hours before the meeting.
Yeah, I guess how it's written or how I interpret how it's written is that request could be made at any time up to the point of that person talking. So, if you wanted to make a request that some expert, give their feedback to the task force on this particular topic, you could do it right then and there. And so you as a member would give them the authority or the approval to join the discussion. That just keeps from kind of keeping making sure that we don't just having a bunch of people talking out of turn because we have a passionate topic that we need to talk about and there's a lot of opposition. That just kind of keeps some organization that the approval to discuss and share is held to members with the exception of the public comment period, unless a member gives a specific entity or individual that opportunity. And so I don't think there's any time frame referred to based on this paragraph. And it's just for a period of time as deemed necessary. But so that's just saying how long they have a chance to provide input. Maybe it's the whole meeting. Maybe it's just for this topic of discussion. Does that clarify things, or do you think that we would need to further spell that out?
I guess I'd be interested in hearing more of what the group is interested in, or if this is what the group has come up with, because I could end up, bringing my sister in who knows very little about water topics and saying, hey, she's my expert on water in southeastern Illinois, can she speak? And you're going to say yes, and then she's going to meander on for a while, but she's not necessarily an expert, but you're not going to decline. I can't imagine the chair declining anybody, I guess is what I'm thinking here. So I don't think that maybe this is an issue to spend a whole lot of time on. If it becomes a problem, then we could go ahead and say that, hey, you need to have, prior permission to share the floor, 24 hours before the meeting's going to be held. But hopefully most people would know 24 hours before they were going to, relinquish the floor to somebody, on what the meeting topics are. So
yeah, my only, I guess, kickback to that's if we have a technical question that comes up that wasn't anticipated and that person is not a member, but in attendance at the meeting, you may want to direct that question to that person, not knowing that ahead of time. So I think we have that approval by the chair just so that we don't have, Aunt Susie or whoever go on for 20 minutes. But so it does have those guardrails in place, but doesn't require it ahead of time in case there is a question or something that is not foreseen.
I guess there would be an expectation too that the member would have direct knowledge of the qualifications of the individual they were nominating or requesting for time to speak as well. So there may be that safeguard as well.
Exactly. And that's why we have it be that it has to be made by a member for that approval.
and then my last item was when there's meetings being scheduled, Should we be putting something in there that a posting on IDNR's webpage is sufficient for satisfying public notice of the meetings?
Yeah, I think that's actually in the Open Meetings Act that a posting has to be made at the place of the meeting because we're a virtual meeting. I guess I made the assumption, I'm not an expert on Open Meetings Act, that the posting on where that meeting information is at is adequate. But we could clarify that in more detail. I guess I'm open to that.
Okay, and again, I don't have specific wording, it was more just topics, so those were my 3 items.
So if we were to add that in, I'm just trying to see, and I want to try and keep this version that I have up, maybe up to date on what we would hope to potentially consider an adoption, whether at this meeting or next. So, members present connect. This is, I'm just trying to think out loud here is where to put this, meeting dates and agenda will be posted on the State Water Plan Task Force official website. And I can provide that link here as well. Do you think that would kind of meet the I guess the intent of that, Christie?
I believe so.
Okay, let me grab this link here and I'll make the addition just so that we kind of still have the and probably need this spelled out. Nope. It automatically defaults to it. All right, I'll work on this and get that up. Is there any other comments as well? Or questions?
Hello,
Hello?
I'm visiting this meeting. And I was wondering how you can do business when you're asking for a quorum of 7 out of your 11 people. And how many do you have there right now?
So right now, we have not officially approved the bylaws. If we go into a vote, then we will ensure that we have a quorum. But right now, this task
You
force,
cannot conduct business, sir. You cannot. According to Robert's Rules of Order and Open Meetings Act, you cannot.
well, right now, we have no bylaws, which is what we're trying to approve.
Well, sir, you need to be following the Open Meetings Act right now. And I don't see all my people here. I only see me. And it's not open. This is not open.
So why is it not an
People
open
aren't
meeting?
here.
So can I ask what deficiency we're having by not having an open meeting right now?
Exactly that. You're not having an open meeting because it is not open. You have not opened it to the public like it's supposed to be. We were told we could get in here. I don't know how I'm the only one that did, but nobody else is here. And I know for a fact there were a lot of people interested in being in this, at this meeting. And it wasn't only supposed to be about bylaws.
Well, we have posted the agenda for the meeting.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yes.
So when are you going to be talking about parklands?
Well, the meeting, the agenda
Specifically
was,
Gilson Park and Wilmette?
no, that was not on the agenda.
Really?
No. I can pull
Ross is
up
going
the
to be
agenda. if
very
you'd like.
interested in hearing that. He's our leader.
So here is the agenda for today's meeting that was posted in advance as required.
Then why aren't the people here?
I
Why
don't
aren't you
know.
letting the people in?
It is open, there's no,
They're not here. I'm here. The rest of my group is not here. So it is not open. It's supposed to be open virtually. I'm here virtually, but I don't see a quorum here. I don't see that you can conduct any business at all, let alone follow your agenda. This is not an open meeting, first of all, because nobody's here. And second of all, this is not following Robert's Rules of Order at all.
well, if you'd like to officially submit a complaint, I guess you could do
I
that to
will.
the legal department.
And who should I submit that to?
You can submit it to the Office of Legal Counsel at the IDNR.
Okay, Office of Legal Counsel. That's interesting. And where?
At the Illinois Department of Natural Resources.
And you are? And your position there?
My name is Wes Couture.
Okay, and you are the head? You are the president of this group?
Well, right now, no, that is the chair.
You are chair?
No, so my name is Rick Pullman. And I am
Pullman.
the chair.
P-U-L-M-A-N?
P-O-H-L-M-A-N.
Okay,
Okay,
and
can I-
Wes, what is your
Can
full
I
name?
say
and how you
something,
spell it?
please? Hello? Hello, can I say something, please?
May I ask who's talking?
My name is Ren Lutz, and I'm a Wilmette resident, and I got a notice of the State Water Plan Task Force meeting open to the public, so if I got the
I'm the only
agenda and
public
I got this,
besides you.
All right, and I appreciate the comments. Like I said, we will have a public comment period toward later on in the agenda, as noted on item 5 on your screen. So we have official business we'd like to conduct, and we'd ask your respectful attendance to allow us to conduct that business. And we
I
provided,
respectfully say that this is not an open meeting. I do object because if there's only 2 of us here now, where are the rest of us? There are a lot of people here that wanted to be at this meeting. A lot.
I'm on this call. It
I
wasn't
know,
this
you're the only
meeting
other
that's
one.
open.
So
No,
Well,
I'm-
but maybe people
Wes-
didn't call in. I got this from Jeff Axelrod, so I mean, maybe other people
I
just
got it
don't
from Jeff
call.
Axelrod as well.
All right.
Jeff,
so-
this-
so
All right,
this is-
so can you be a little bit more polite about the way you're talking, please? It's kind of nasty.
Jeff, hey Wes, this is Brian from the Department of Ag.
yes, Brian, as a member, going ahead.
Yes, can we just take a member attendance real quick for the task force members?
We can, yes, we can.
Thank you.
There's Jeff.
And let me just pull up the official list so that we're all clear. Although we don't have official bylaws right now, we will go off the draft bylaws.
Yep, that's fine. We can just take a general attendance.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So I will go in and, Rick, would you like me to call attendance?
Please, Wes.
Okay. So Office of Water Resources, Department of Natural Resources, please respond by stating the name of the member that is representing that agency.
Rick Pullman.
Thank you, Rick. Office of Resource Conservation of Department of Natural Resources.
Nathan Ryder, present.
Okay, thank you, Nathan, showing as present. Department of Public Health. Okay, I show the Department of Public Health is not in attendance. Environmental Protection Agency.
Christine Davis.
Okay, thank you very much. Department of Transportation.
Both BJ Murray and Ryan McCoy.
Okay, thank you very much. Department of Agriculture.
Brian Reniker, representing the Department of Ag.
Thank you, Brian. Illinois Emergency Management Agency.
Zach Brug with IEMA OHS.
Thank you very much. Pollution Control Board.
Constance Brown, Illinois Pollution Control Board, present.
Thank you very much. Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Not hearing any present, assuming absent. The State Water Survey of the University of Illinois.
Laura Kiefer, present.
Thank you. And finally, the Water Resources Center of University of Illinois. And I see Yufong is in attendance. I'm just waiting for him to see if he can unmute. Yufong, are you there? Yufong, are you able to hit a thumbs up to acknowledge your attendance? I saw you use that prior. All right. I see that much. So I'm showing that we have 2 absent and 9 in attendance, which again, if we had the bylaws enacted, that would show that we have a quorum for the meeting. And that was, to let you all know, that was the intent, is that we would have taken attendance prior to voting on official business of these bylaws. Again, we're in a gray area since we don't have bylaws officially passed, but shows that we would have that quorum if they're passed with the current quorum requirement of 60% or 7 out of 11. So with that, I'll move to reopen discussion on the State Water Plan bylaws. Again, this is for discussion of State Water Plan Task Force members as defined by the State Water Plan Act, which is also shown on the list on your screen of members. I will say some of
Program
the
Manager for the IDPH Division of Environmental Health. Please leave your name and phone number and a brief.
One thing I do want to draw everyone's attention to is this sub-task force groups. So if you're not familiar with that, we have the next item on the agenda will directly relate to that. And that was clarified a little bit more. We really tried to spend some good time clarifying roles. As we know, we have official members, but we also have other attendees from these state agencies. And so we tried to clearly identify everyone's role, whether that be the actual members, whether that be the topic leaders, those committee members, and other representatives, as we've discussed earlier. So any comments, and that can include a motion to adopt if desired.
Who's had a chance to read this before it is being adopted here?
I'm sorry, we'd like to keep conversation to members. As mentioned, we'll have an opportunity for public comment on the 5th item of agenda. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is BJ Murray with IDOT. I'll make a motion to approve.
Heard a motion to approve from BJ Murray. It would need a second to go to vote.
I'll second, Wes.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch who that was.
Steve Altman.
Steve, unfortunately, you would not be an official member.
Okay.
So that would have to come from an official member.
Okay.
This is Laura Kiefer, I'll second.
Okay, Laura Kiefer seconds. So from that, we will go to a vote. So at this time, we will ask for those for and just verbally giving a yay or nay. If there's any ambiguity, then we will go to a member by member vote. So with that, I will ask for any of those in favor of passing these bylaws to give an answer of aye at this time.
Aye.
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 And at this time, I'd ask for anyone who is opposed just to say nay. Okay, let it be noted that the bylaws have been passed unanimously by the membership. All right, thank you very much. I will make sure I get a final copy out to all the membership following this meeting that's cleaned up. It doesn't have the review comments on that. And we will get that posted to our website shortly thereafter. So with that, Rick, I will go on ahead and get.
Hello? Hello again, just a quick question. How do we, public members of this forum today, get a copy?
Again, as mentioned, we'd like to keep public comments to the end of the meeting, just so that we have order to the meeting. But I'll answer your question stating again that that will be posted to the State Water Plan Task Force website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Again, to make sure we keep order of the meeting, I ask that we hold public comment to that part of the agenda. Thank you. All right, and at this time, I'll turn back to Rick for the next item on the agenda.
Thank you, Wes, and I appreciate your efforts there, working through those bylaws. That's a great first step that provides us an opportunity to move through further action now with that guidance. So my understanding is through previous discussion, there has been an opportunity to decide or evaluate legislation and how it may be able to mold or mesh in with the State Water Plan Task Force groups and sub-task force groups there. So as it plays out, there was a bill proposed by Representative Moule named the Lake Michigan Beach Task Force, HB 3685. That the details of or provisions of that bill did indicate that a fairly significant amount of the work, if you will, charged under the bill would fall on the responsibility of the Office of Water Resources, wherein the Office of Water Resources, as we currently sit, really doesn't have the available capacity to implement all the requirements of that bill. So the office worked with the representative and offered this mechanism through the State Water Plan Task Force to evaluate the provisions of the bill and use the State Water Plan Task Force as the vehicle to do some of what is largely identified in the bill. And therefore, there has been a request by the representative to meaningfully adopt the principles and goals of the bill through an existing or new subcommittee or sub-task force. Therefore, that letter has then prompted the discussion that we will now have. As it is a Lake Michigan focused task force or sub-task force opportunity, Meg Kelly, who leads that focus area would be charged with assuming the significant piece of this this request and working to develop that sub-task force group and perform the investigation and study there too. So to that, I'll turn it to Meg for a little bit of further identification and expansion of this discussion.
Sure. I mean, still very early in our, analysis of this, but just for context, the proposal from Representative Moule for HB 3685 was to form a committee or task force to review current and potential future public coordination, consolidation, use, and access issues, and offer policymaking recommendations related to the efficient use of governmental bodies and structures in regulating the use of public bathing areas along Lake Michigan. It calls for a report of findings and recommendations around safety, access, accessibility, and training related to the use and management of public beaches along Illinois' Lake Michigan coast. So, as the Lake Michigan issue area lead or topic lead, I'm also the director of our Illinois Coastal Management Program here for the state of Illinois. And through that work, one pillar of our work is to support and enhance public access and accessibility of our coastal resources, particularly around recreation and enjoyment. And safety is integral to access and accessibility. So particularly for water-based recreation and boating, swimming, things like that. And so one of the many ways that we do our work at the coastal program is to foster and support and facilitate intergovernmental coordination. We do a lot of facilitation of working groups, advisory groups, including our shoreline management working group, our beach managers peer learning group, and we also sit on task force and working groups convened by others. And through that work, these are issues that we know are that we've been working on with communities up and down the coast. And so to me, I think this does make a lot of sense to align it with the Lake Michigan issue area of this State Water Plan Task Force. It seems like it's a logical alignment as we are already working on some of those topics. So I would just say I think it makes sense and willing to talk further.
Right. So thanks, Meg. I appreciate that. I think, as we develop this opportunity, this is certainly the first time we've been through such a request and associated sub-task force charge and assignment. And of course, I think one of the there are many questions about how this will come to action and certainly the development of the sub-task force members, I'm sure will be a significant question. And so the scope, right? We certainly there was reference made to the bill. There's language in the bill that'll help guide that development as well. So those are the types of questions that we certainly don't have complete answers to at this point.
Correct.
But that will be, if this moves to assignment and it's accepted by the State Water Plan Task Force as an item that we will continue with and engage with, and then those types of scope development and member development will come. So I see that as some of the first steps that we would move to pending acceptance. So I think that of course that's the background, that's the basis. My understanding is we would need a motion to accept this and assign this to the Lake Michigan focus area and then for further development in a sub-task force group. Is that correct, team?
Yes, that's correct. So what we would need is an official motion to create this sub-task force And with that motion could be the motion to have the Lake Michigan section lead, Meg, to be the designated topic leader for that subtask force. And this is spelled out in the bylaws on how this operates, but essentially you would have a designated topic lead be the point of contact between that subtask force and the state water plan task force. So you have that communication between the chair of that subtask force and that designated topic lead. So if someone were to want to implement this based on the request from Representative Moule, that someone would need to make a motion and it's seconded that we create a subtask force per the request with whoever as the designated topic lead. Rick, it sounds like you have suggested as a possibility that be our Lake Michigan topic lead.
Correct.
Wes, this is Brian from the Department Bag. I make a motion to consider the request for a subcommittee via Representative Moule.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to make a motion on, or would anybody like to, well, we have not heard a motion yet on who that designated topic lead is, unless you would like to include that in your motion.
I will include that and amend the motion as the Great Lakes as discussed earlier.
All right, thank you very much. All right, with that, we would need a second.
Wes, this is Zach Krug at IEMA. I'll second.
All right, hearing a second from IEMA. So therefore, we'll move to vote. And so again, unless there's a audible uncertainty in the voting, we'll go as a group, and if needed, we'll go individually. So right now, there's a motion, a second for a vote on the creation of the sub-task force as requested by Representative Moule, to be headed by our Lake Michigan topic leader. So all in favor, say aye or denote by a response if you're not able to verbally.
Aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
And those opposed by the same, say aye. Hearing none, sounds like it was a unanimous passage of the sub-task force that will be headed by Meg, and she'll be, I'm sure, providing updates on future meetings on how that's taking shape.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, Rick, I'll turn it back to you for our next topic agenda.
Okay, topic or agenda number 4, looks like we're going to move to section implementation milestones, and we'll work through all of the 13 focus areas here.
Yeah, and,
Did I jump ahead there?
No, Rick, you're right on. I just did want to note that we did publish our annual update report. So that will be going up. I appreciate the feedback on that. That's just an update for the State Water Plan Task Force, that we'll be publishing that to our website. Was due at the end of 2024. So just note that that has been published and will be added to our website. I guess it's at your discretion, Rick, if we think that this is something that warrants a vote. It's not specifically listed in the bylaws as something that would require a vote. Again, this was being done prior to bylaws being in place. So any action up until the passing of the bylaws is really kind of gray area on operation. So Rick, I'll leave it to you if you think we need a vote on this, or if you just want a verbal consent that everybody's good, however you'd like to proceed as the chair.
Right, and I think it would be wise to go ahead and take a vote on this, and you know, the updates are provided. It's been categorized here. I think it would be wise to take a vote and make sure that there isn't any concern among the members before this is published.
That's
So,
fine. And Rick, I'll note that this was, I don't have the exact date. This was emailed out, but I believe it's been out for well over a month, maybe a couple months. That this has been out there requested for comments. We did get some comments back and make some adjustments and had been resent out. So I didn't hear any further comments following the most recent sharing of this document. So with that, Rick has asked for a vote. Do we have a second for voting on this?
Brian from the department will second that, Levag.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded. So all in favor of approving the annual update, say aye.
I,
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the annual update will be posted to the website and is officially approved. Okay, Rick, now I'll turn it back to you for the section updates.
all right, here we go. So the next item is as Wes has indicated, the section updates. So in form of this process historically, Wes, I believe that we would just walk through the various topics and ask for associated updates. So I'll allow you to take the lead there.
Yeah, I will do so. Thank you, Rick. So see if there's any update on the water quality section. I'm not sure. I haven't seen if Jeff is on or not, or if there's another representative from IEPA.
good afternoon. Oh, somebody else speaking?
Nope, going ahead. I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I was gonna say, I can let you have the report there. So, yeah, Jeff was not able to make the call this afternoon. General updates that we have, and they kind of overlap with Department of Agriculture for the nutrient loss reduction strategy. We do have a tentative.
Excuse me again. Jeff is here. Jeff is not being allowed to talk. None of these microphones are being turned on. None
Jeff
of them.
has-
We've
Ma'am,
got Amy Russell, we've got Brian Cox, we've got Brian McCoy, we've got Brian Metzke, we got Brian Reniker,
ma'am,
we've got Christian Sorensen, we've got Connie Siegel, we've got David Dupree, we've got Devin Alexander, we've got Effie Brown, we've got
me, ma'am.
Glenn Heistand, we've got Jason Zhang.
Ma'am, may I have a moment, please? We appreciate your comment. The folks that are online who may appear that their microphones are not turned on, they have the ability to unmute those on their end and provide comment. So it may appear that they don't have an opportunity or are not able to speak, but they are. So we'll proceed, and
and I was speaking of Jeff Edstrom from Illinois EPA. I do not believe that he's on the call.
And Christian, I'm looking at the participants list. I did not see him on the list, and I think he would speak up if he is here. Not seeing him on the list, not seeing any unidentified phone calls. So by all practical investigation, he's not in attendance, as we can determine, and we'd appreciate if you could provide an update in his absence. Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay. The nutrient loss reduction strategy, in support of that, we have a tentative date for a.
You can damn well hear me. Jeff
Oh my
is here.
God.
Jeff Edstrom?
Jeff
He-
Axelrod is here, along with about 20 other members of our group. Why
Ma'am,
can't we speak except for me? Why is my
You can,
mic
we're-
on and theirs cannot be turned on?
you can mute and unmute yourself by hitting *6.
So we're working through the topic lead updates at this point, and public
Oh my
comment
God.
will be available at the end of the meeting or toward the end of the meeting. If those who have called in, they certainly have the ability to unmute themselves, but let's keep those public comments until the appropriate time. Thank you.
So for item 1, water quality, Illinois EPA, Jeff Edstrom being the lead individual. He's not here today. He is one of my staff. I am speaking on his behalf. For the nutrient loss reduction strategy, we tentatively have a partner workshop scheduled for November 5th of 2025. The agenda is being worked on and more information will be forthcoming. For a number of the other water quality topics, we're currently watching the direction that the federal and state financial assistance programs, how they turn out. There's a bit of flux in the guidance right now. So we are waiting for more guidance from US EPA to Illinois EPA on a number of the programs that are identified for trying to get more funding, things like that. We have to find out what the federal budget is going to be. Illinois EPA is also working on updating the monitoring strategy. It's a 5-year strategy that dictates where Illinois EPA uses its financial resources and technical resources. And we are just getting ready to start our monitoring season for calendar year 2025. With that, I will stop.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody, any members have any questions or comments to the update on the water quality? Hearing none, we'll move on to the second section, climate change. Dave had informed me he will not be here in attendance, so just checking to see if there's any others from the State Water Survey that would like to give a climate update to the section. I know Trent Ford, I don't see him on unless I'm overseeing it, but I'll defer to any membership of State Water Survey that would like to give an update. Otherwise, we'll move on.
Yeah, Wes, this is Laura Kiefer. I have some information from Trent. Said that the climate group is, they're still continuing to develop the climate data portal that makes past and future climate information accessible to the public. This is an ongoing collaboration between the Water Survey, the U of I Climate and Atmospheric Science Department, and the National Center for Supercomputing Applications. And they're hoping for a beta version of the portal this fall, but obviously they'll keep updating on that. And then the second item they have is that the Illinois 3D Mesonet Initiative is moving forward with a federal earmark request. This could significantly expand the Illinois Climate Network at the Water Survey, at least double the number of stations, and include some new weather sensing, including drones for atmospheric profiles at multiple stations. And there's a workshop planned at the iHotel next Monday on April 14th. That multiple state agencies are participating in, and where they'll develop a collaborative group to support any further Mesonet advancements. So that's all we have.
Okay, thank you, Laura. With that, we'll open up any questions from membership on the climate change section. Hearing none, we'll move on to number 3, the integrated water management. As you see now, my name is listed up there. That's something that I think we will need to consider for the next meeting, is officially approving the topic leads so that we can officially place these. I've been in discussion with Lauren about taking this over, with Lauren being on contract. But I guess, Lauren, I'll give you the opportunity. Would you like to speak on this since it's just come into mine, or we'll see if he unmutes here in a moment to see if he'd like to speak. Yep.
Wes, I'm happy to do so. Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, for the rest of the board members, it is my intent to transition that leadership role in that topic area to Wes Couture to continue on with follow-up on the recommendations. So going through what we've accomplished since the last report, certainly starting with the Illinois Integrated Water Information Center. Discussions continue to form the development of that center, along with the Illinois State Water Survey team. We have been in communication with the American Flood Coalition, who have helped other states such as Florida and South Carolina develop a similar kind of a data center, kind of a data portal, if you will. And they have agreed to, free of charge, work with the state of Illinois to try and assist us with the continued development of that integrated water information center. So more to come on that. Funding and support the State Water Plan Task Force. Of course, have completed that goal 100% with the passage of the bill that passed last year into law, Public Act 103-0917, that formed and formally codified the State Water Plan Task Force. The system improvements for communities. Illinois DNR, like Michigan program, has conducted a water system improvement plan survey, really to determine the status of each community's allocation and where they're at with implementation of their water system improvement plans. And we're following those up with individual meetings to see how we can help continue to advance those water system improvements in each community. As far as local assistance, reestablish a local assistance program to guide particularly underserved communities in Illinois. The IDNR has developed a draft local assistance program strategy to utilize the existing personnel and resources that we have. Obviously, with our continued budget and hiring limitations, we will not be creating a brand new local assistance section per se, but given the resources that we have, the IDNR team has worked to develop that local assistance program in order to accomplish many of the goals that were set out in the State Water Plan to provide that assistance. So that has been drafted and currently undergoing internal DNR review at this time. So hopefully more to come soon on that continued development and reestablishment of a community local assistance program in the DNR. Developing consistent funding criteria for all agencies. We have been in discussion with the Office of Management and Budget about how best to go about providing that awareness and or to move on action. And so some action has begun towards that end, really needing to start with the Office of Management and Budget that really has a lot of the final say on various state program funding and how we can provide more consistency there. And then finally, expanding the IMAG and collaboration for increased efficiency and consistent funding. A lot of this got into trying to work on developing and really kind of cross-cut with maybe some other recommendations where we're looking to create that revolving stormwater program loan fund in both IEMA and IDNR. Zach, who's on the meeting today, certainly has had a lot of involvement with that. But work has begun with the Illinois Finance Authority to develop that stormwater revolving loan fund program without legislation at this point, and the necessary regeneration and expansion of that IMAG team. And so Zach may have more to add to that from his perspective, but there is work happening to that point as well. So with that, that's kind of the update on things happening within the integrated water management section that Wes will, I'm sure, take hold of and do a great job continuing to advance. So unless there's any questions, I'll stop there and turn the floor back over to you, Wes and Rick. Thank you.
Thanks for the update, Lauren. We'll ask if there's any questions for Lauren Wobig on the integrated water management section. Hearing none, we'll move to the long-term funding. Nadan Singh, I'm not sure. I'm checking to see if he is there or if there's anybody else from EPA who would like to speak on his behalf if he's not in the list. I don't see him on the participants list. So if there's anybody else that has any updates on long-term funding.
Unfortunately, this is Chris Davis. Unfortunately, I do not have any.
Okay.
Sorry.
Nope, no, thank you, Chris. Appreciate you filling in when you can. Can't expect you to fill in all of them. All right, thank you. Move on to water sustainability. Wei Han did have another obligation that conflicted with this meeting. He did not provide any updates, so I guess I'll ask if there's any questions on the water sustainability section. Hearing none. Oh.
Wes, this is Brian from the Department of Ag. It's unrelated to that first question, but I need to exit the meeting. I sent you a message. And I will say that the Department of Ag updates under the sedimentation is the spreadsheet and is of record.
Okay, thank you, Brian. We will be posting that here shortly following this meeting, that if anybody wants to look specifically at those Department of Ag updates, we'll direct them that way. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Wes.
Yep. All right, not hearing anything else, we'll turn it over to Meg Kelly on Lake Michigan.
Great, thank you. So I think last time I reported that we had our annual competitive grants opportunity was open. That has since closed. We were pleased to receive 11 requests for 11 grant proposals for that program, which funds a number of partners on the ground and communities to do work in our coastal region related to protecting, enhancing, restoring our coastal assets, including education and outreach. We do not know, so we're in the process of scoring. At this point, our federal funder is NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, who we pass funds through for these grants. Still waiting to hear from them on what our budget is going to be for the next year. And so we'll just kind of be waiting on that number before we can continue with that, with awarding those grants. But we're excited to receive a number of really great project proposals. We're also working to finish up the Illinois North Shore Coastal Resilience Plan, which also included the development of a new shoreline mapping tool, which is still in kind of a beta testing format, and I'm hoping to also publicly share that soon within the next couple months. So that's kind of exciting. We also received an invitation from US EPA for which would through Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding, which we were really thrilled about, to put in a full proposal for a restoration project in an area known as Square Marsh along Lake Calumet, which is the Illinois International Port District land. So they're offering us about $500,000 for that project, which is in partnership with the Nature Conservancy and the Wetlands Initiative. It's not 100% guaranteed, but it's a very solid step forward, which we're thrilled about. And then we're also working on a number of education and outreach events in our coastal zone this summer, including Nature Fests at William Powers State Recreation Area and Illinois Beach State Park. William Powers Fest is going to be in June. I don't have the exact dates with me, sorry. And then we'll do one in July at Illinois Beach. We'll also be at State Fair again this year, celebrating 100 years, right? Something kind of fun and cool.
Yeah, 100 years this year.
Yeah, talking about our coastal zone too there. And then I'll defer to Steve Altman if there's any additional updates for the Lake Michigan section in relation to the allocation program.
Okay, thank you, Meg. I'll let Steve talk as he's got an opportunity coming up in his section. Is there any questions for Meg on Lake Michigan? Hearing none, we'll move on to the flood damage mitigation section. Tara McFarland, I saw that she was on earlier.
I'm here.
Floor is yours, Tara.
All right, thank you. So for the flood damage mitigation section, we reported last time, but the report for the updated rainfall that included future and seasonal data changes that was published in the end of March, or actually at the beginning of March, and I guess there is a link. Maybe we can include that in the minutes. I'll send it to Megan. And then we did present on that topic at the recent IAFSM conference in March. And we've also submitted postings to put in various water resource newsletters just to let people know about that new publication. And if anyone has any questions, they can reach out to me. That was a joint effort, or that was through State Water Survey. And in terms of a hydraulic model database, we have gotten a new contract set up with the State Water Survey to continue developing that database. We do have a prototype map that we're going to use, and we'll be collecting various metadata for models that have been completed both by the State Water Survey and Office of Water Resources. And then as that moves forward, we'll be including or soliciting and including information for other models that have been developed by other agencies in the state, federal, or private. So that effort continues. And then I'm just going to talk about our top 5 initiatives. We are continuing our third initiative or recommendation was about dynamic inundation mapping. And many of you have heard there's been a lot of flooding this last week, especially in southern Illinois. And there's a lot of different types of inundation mapping products out there. So we're trying to make sure that the people in the state understand what those are all about. But we're also continuing to develop dynamic inundation mapping, which will show mapping or inundation mapping tied into the riverine gauges, stream gauges. So that's very helpful for during an event and planning as well as response. So that continues, that effort continues. And then on the same token, our structural damage assessment called SAFER continues. We have completed the Mississippi River. We're finishing up the Illinois River with just a few more postings. And then we've been working on the Rock River and Des Plaines. And that particular effort includes structures, damage assessments, and all kinds of data. And as a part of a Silver Jackets project with the Corps of Engineers, we are out on the road. We're calling it the Safer Road Show, where we're actually going to those impacted communities and really explaining how to utilize these tools and the power of the information that's behind the tool, so that they can use that to their best abilities. And then I guess there's just one more I wanted to talk about with Zach on the call. He might want to add more. One of our initiatives is to do more, we call it 2D hydraulic modeling, or more of like a rain on grid, to capture those portions of the state as rainfall falls that's not associated with riverine flooding. And IEMA is in the process of developing a new tool to help to show some of that inundation mapping that occurs based on live updates from the Weather Service and all the weather projections. So that's all I have. And if there's any questions, just reach out to me. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Tara. Any questions for Tara? Hearing none, we'll turn over to Brian Metzke on the Aquatic and Riparian Habitat section. Brian?
Hi, Wes. Hi, Task Force. Thanks for giving me a chance to give an update here. We do have one update in the Aquatic and Riparian Habitats section. We did make some progress on the recommendation to increase the diversity and breadth of biological indices that we could use to track the condition of streams and other water bodies in the state. We just wrapped up a 3-year study to come up with a new iteration of the biological streams classification and biologically significant streams project. This will be the 3rd iteration. And the reason that it fits well with this recommendation is because now we can grade streams on an A through E system based on the biological intactness of the system for all stream reaches in the entire state. So that's kind of a new process that we've used here, a new methodology for identifying high quality streams throughout the state. That project just wrapped up. We hope to get the report to our Wildlife Action Plan website in the next few weeks or months. And then we'll be working over the next fiscal year or so to develop a new online viewer so that the public can access the kind of synthesis of all that information and go down to a stream reach level for their and look at their backyard stream or any other stream that they're interested in. So like I said, the report will be out soon. And if you have any questions, you can email me. My link is on the website. Thanks.
Brian, I actually have a quick email. That's fascinating to hear. So will there be some kind of correlation between what I believe was the numbering system you used to use for old data to like this new letter system? Will there be a way to correlate that old data to the new?
There's not. So the system is still, based on this kind of categorical scheme, right? We use letter grades this time, but it's based on entirely new system. So nothing really from the previous iteration will track over to the new iteration, and we kind of had to make a break in time and say we're going with a new system here, and so nothing really will carry over. But the kind of trade-off there is now we can calculate a stream grade for any reach rather than just the ones that we have recent biological data for.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Brian. Is there any other questions for Brian? Hearing none, we'll move over to Steve Altman with Water Use Law and Regulations.
Yeah, we've got some things going on. We have a new new set of administrative rules that is actually in the public notice period right now, Part 3710, for anybody any state agency that is building in a floodplain in the state of Illinois. We've been issuing some authorizations under the emergency order. Also, we are continuing to work on Part 3700 to update that as well. We've had a meeting, looking to have another meeting tomorrow to kind of see where we're going with that, with some of the language that we've had that's been going on for quite a while. With regard to water use, there's been a lot of movement, a lot of different communities interested in water reuse right now since the act got passed to allow water reuse in the state of Illinois. So we're anxious to see what's going on here. There's lots of folks involved. It's kind of a growing area right now, especially up in the Chicago area. So that's it.
All right, thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve? Hearing none, we'll move over to Brian McCoy with navigation. Brian, or unless you prefer BJ, up to you guys.
Oh, hi there, is Brian. I got this, BJ. Thanks, Wes. Appreciate it. Brian McCoy, Illinois Department of Transportation, Marine Transportation. And the updates that I have today, some good news that the Port Infrastructure Development Program grant provided through MARAD, the application deadline is approaching us soon at the end of April 30th. They have a total of $450 million available, which is more funding available than has been in the past. So recently we've been seeing more funding coming to our region for marine transportation projects. So all of our efforts are starting to pay off and see some success. And I hope that trend continues to go that direction. As reported in our last quarterly meeting, the grant awards are detailed in there, what Illinois specifically received. Other new updates for us is we did receive reports from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, fiscal year 25 backlog of maintenance, and the 4 districts are reporting through the 5 waterways, a total of $2.3 billion in backlog maintenance, and additional details are outlined in our annual. Those numbers are in there if somebody wants to take a look at them further. Another exciting news is Illinois, where our office has an RFP, a request for proposals out there, and bids are due April 16th, and this is for a study, Illinois Waterway Transportation Study. The project intends to update the Illinois Marine Transportation System directory and a multimodal rates and charges and data resources. This will include barge transportation cost information to help port districts, and the study will also complete a marine system needs assessment to also provide resources for port districts to make them competitive. That is all I have for the navigation section. I'll hand it back over to you, Wes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Is there any questions for Brian? Hearing none, the next section is Brian Renaker. As we heard earlier, he had to step away to deal with some business. His updates will be in the quarterly recommendation update spreadsheet, or feel free to reach out to him directly. If you don't have his contact, it is on the homepage of the State Water Plan Task Force website. With that, we have the data management section, and Laura Kiefer, I believe she is on. Laura,
Yep.
do you have?
Really don't have any progress right now. We're kind of regrouping. Momshel Marcus retired in January, and he and actually Jason were working on recommendation, I believe, number 2, about doing an assessment of these Illinois stream gauge network. So we're regrouping, and obviously I've asked Jason to take lead on this data management topic from here on out. So hopefully we'll have some more information he'll have more information for you in July.
All right, thank you, Laura. And as noted, you'll see on the lead topics on the right, Laura did ask me to go ahead and change that over to Jason Zhang, who, if you're not familiar with, is doing great work over at State Water Survey as well. And as mentioned, I kind of listed these names as who we would likely propose fill those spots for the next meeting when, as we get to the next meeting's agenda at the end of this one, we'll talk about potentially looking to approve those topic leaders there. So just note that Laura's recommending Jason fill that role in the future. So with that, I'm not sure if I asked, is there any questions on data management? Hearing none, we'll move over to recreation. Michael, I think I saw you on here. Are you there, Michael?
I am. Thank you, Wes. Can you hear me okay?
We got you loud and clear.
All right. So just a couple things here. We did have a new proposal for the aquatic conservation stamp in the spring session. So we're tracking that at this time. See, we had, our objective to increase angling opportunities on private property with focused underserved locations. A lot of that we work with is through cooperative management agreements with municipalities and counties. And so we're currently in the process of trying to evaluate what we have. A lot of those are actually old documents on paper. They're not digitized. So it's a little bit of a chore there. We're trying to evaluate those, see what is active and inactive so that we can make a little progress on seeing how we can better get to that objective. And then I guess finally our division of fisheries is progressing nicely with our new website, which will essentially parlay into that development of the mobile app for angling information. We got to see a new iteration of that website, and it's coming along pretty nice. It may be ahead of schedule even, so maybe next month we may have that completed, and then we'll move closer towards getting towards that mobile app.
Did you have anything else to add, or was that it?
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you. Is there any questions for Mike on recreation? All right. Not hearing any. That wraps up that agenda. And we'll move on to the next agenda item. Old business, I don't believe we had any old business outstanding. Maybe a few reminders. We had some duplicate recommendations we talked about. Maybe those topic leaders coordinating if there's a need to remove those. Outside that, I don't have any old business that comes to mind. I guess I'll open up to the membership if anybody else has any old business and or any new business that they would like to propose to the group. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to our public comments period of the task force. And since we do have our newly minted bylaws, I just want to take a moment, since we haven't really gone over these in detail, just a couple of notes that the State Water Task Force will have a public comment period. We ask that everybody identify themselves and that ordinary comments be limited to 5 minutes in the interest of time, and that we also have the opportunity to shorten that if we have a limited time. And I'll defer to the chair how much time he'd like to give for each public participant. And we also ask that everyone conduct themselves with respect and civility towards others. If there is disruption or what we see as an unrespectful manner, we may be required to mute you. So we just ask that you be cordial in your comments. With that, I'll turn to Rick if he has any further comments. I will ask if you have public comments that you'd like to speak, please go into the chat and enter your name so that we can have a organized public comment period. If we have anybody that's on phone that does not have the opportunity to do that, I guess I would at the end open the opportunity for someone to unmute by phone if they do have any public comments. So Rick, I'll see if you have any additional comments to make before we open up the public comment period.
Sure, thanks, Wes. Given that we do have the bylaws here, we'll initiate this with a 5-minute term on the comments. Please direct your comments to the State Water Plan Task Force. And as Wes indicated, if you could place your name in the chat, and you will be introduced and offered an opportunity to speak in that as we indicate your name and provide you that opportunity. So Wes, I believe you have vision there of the chat.
Yes, I do. And I'll go in order in which it was listed in the chat. And again, just kind of be mindful of everybody's time. So we'll give that 5 minutes, as Rick mentioned, to provide your comments. So Jeff Axelrod, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Thanks.
All right. Floor is yours, sir.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Jeff Axelrod from Unfenced Gilson. We're a grassroots group fighting for equitable and inclusive access to our lakefront. I want to sincerely thank the task force for unanimously approving the formation of the Swimming Beach Subcommittee. This is a critical and long overdue step towards addressing the exclusionary practices along our shoreline. I want to especially thank Representative Kat Small for her leadership in bringing this forward. I also want to extend my appreciation to the many interested members of the public who joined this meeting in support of more inclusive and welcoming swimming beaches across Illinois. Your presence shows that this issue matters far beyond any one town. At the same time, I'd like to acknowledge that in our eagerness to encourage community attendance, there were some apparent misunderstandings about the nature of this meeting and how it was conducted. I apologize for the resulting disruptions. Our intent has always been to advocate passionately but respectfully for fairness, transparency, and inclusion. The decision to fence off Wilmette's public beach brought long simmering issues to the surface, not just about monetization, but about exclusion. It sent a clear signal to working families, non-residents, and people of color that they are not welcome. And it's not just Wilmette. This is part of a broader pattern of shoreline access being restricted through physical barriers, high fees, and opaque decision-making. Lake Michigan belongs to all of us. It should connect us across municipal and class lines, not divide us. I hope this new subcommittee will help restore that vision of shared public access and community connection. Thank you again for taking this important step.
Jeff, thank you very much for your comments. And please note, and I'll say this for anybody who's interested, within our State Water Plan Task Force website, which I did put the link in the chat, there is a contact email for all of our topic leads, including Meg's. So if you have an interest in any of those topics or subgroups in the sense of transparency, please feel free to reach out to Meg and share with her any further comments, or even if you have recommendations on who would be on that committee. She will be essentially forming that committee with the direction of others, I'm sure. But please feel free to continue up any questions, comments you have with her. And as mentioned again, that is on the State Water Plan Task Force website. So with that, I see the next chat is Devin McAllister. Devin, are you with us?
I'm here. I just want to briefly thank this task force for voting to take on the work proposed by HB 3685. It's very important work. I'm Devin McAllister. I'm with the Chicago chapter of the Surfrider Foundation. The Surfrider Foundation has a long history of working on beach access issues in the Chicagoland area. Surfing was illegal in the city of Chicago for almost 2 decades, and we worked with the city of Chicago and the Chicago Park District to legalize that at multiple beaches. So beach access is an issue near and dear to our heart, and we'd love to stay involved with this work as it progresses. And again, thank you so much for all of the work that you do and voting to take on the work that was proposed in that bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Devin. And with that, it looks like there is an interest. Nope, I apologize. That's already mentioned. Is there someone by phone that would like to have a comment? At this time, I'll open it up to anybody by phone.
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Feel free just to introduce yourself and.
Okay. My name is Ren. My first name and full name is Reynolds Lutz, and I live in Wilmette. And I also would like to voice my concern with the fact that the city of Wilmette is really blocking off access to people, all people, for free access to the beach. And and putting up fences that block the views. My in-laws spent many years in front of the beach at Wilmette, sitting there enjoying, residents of Wilmette, enjoying the view, enjoying reading, enjoying sitting there. And a lot of that was taken away. And they also were further bothered, and I continue to see that, by the fact that they weren't speaking English. You know, they were speaking Ukrainian. I've been there before and watched people really kind of bother people that were not speaking their language, saying that, why are people here? Why are you here? And so I'm not only concerned about access to the beach, I'm also concerned about the reasons why they're denying access to people on the beach. And in other areas of Wilmette, if you walk north from the public beach onto private beach areas, I understand that you can walk in the wet sand, but there are a number of houses all the way up and down that are putting up signs, no trespassing, you know, you can't be here. And I don't even know I don't know what the law is. You know, I've asked the police department in Wilmette how can people do this? And they say that the owners of this property own right into the wet sand, but I don't even know if that's true. It just seems like more and more on a personal basis, on a public basis, Wilmette is just trying to keep people out or charge people more to use it. And I think it's unfair.
Okay,
all.
well, thank you for your, oh, was that all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I didn't want to cut you off. Thank you for your comment. I think we have one more that I currently see listed in our chat. I guess let me just take a moment to make sure there's no one else by phone that would like to chime in. I think that was our only caller, but I just want to take a moment to make sure that is the case. Okay, I am not hearing anybody else. If so, feel free to chime in quickly and just speak up briefly. But we do have one more public participant, Kevin Granfield. Kevin, are you with us?
Yes, for now. I apologize in advance. My appeal is emotional. And I went to a park meeting at Wilmette and met someone else who was in a similar situation. My wife and I rented in Wilmette for a long time, and we bought in Wilmette, partly because she loves nature and she loved the shore. And she died last year from cancer, and she grew weak near the end of her life. And we could not get her onto the shore that we used to walk when we rented here because of the restrictions, the physical restrictions that the park board put up. So it's not just affecting the people they want to affect, it's affecting their own constituents. And often, you know, the neediest of the community, for example, people like my wife who were frail. So I think that, you know, access has to be important for all because it's also an emotional need, access to nature. Thank you.
Kevin, thank you for your comments, and please know you have our sincere condolences. So thank you again. And I will just take a moment to see if there's anybody else who has any public comments. Please feel free to chime in if you're unable to use the chat function and interrupt me. That's completely fine for the next few moments. And again, I'll also just reiterate, and I'll actually even throw it up here for a second. If you have interest on further communication with any of our task force members, it is on our task force website. If you just scroll down a little ways, you'll see the long list of names, including our Lake Michigan section, who will be spearheading this subgroup, which has been a topic of discussion here. So with that, I'm not hearing anyone else. I believe we'll go on ahead and continue on with our agenda. If you just bear with me as I pull it up here. And that concludes our public comment section. And we'll move on. Just next meeting is July 14th at 1:30. It will be a virtual meeting. You can also see on the right-hand side, the next two meetings will be October 6th and January 12th. October 6th being in person. We'll hope to work out the details of that soon. So at this time, I would like to open it up to the task force members if they have any recommended topics of discussion. And with that, I would also propose, now with the new bylaws in place, that we would move to officially accept or nominate and accept the topic leaders as shown on the website, or we'll propose that at next meetings, but that'd be a point of discussion for the next meeting. And Rick, I'll turn it over to you or any other members that have any comments to potential agenda discussion points for our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. Again, next meeting is set. That'll be, the website will be updated and should there be any information that will be shared from the task force, it can be found there on the website. Appreciate everybody's patience today, and most certainly appreciate the public comments that were provided toward the end of the meeting there. That's always our intent, to open it up for public comment and provide that level of transparency and opportunity for your voices to be heard. I know as we worked through this one with the bylaw introduction and making those formal, it did provide an opportunity to set the stage for how we plan to move forward and operate into the future. So appreciate everybody's involvement there. If there are any other comments or notes from the members, please share them now. Otherwise, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Laura Kiefer, motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Laura.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And opposed, same
Aye.
sign. All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you,
Thank you,
guys.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.